Now for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning, let's bring in a RISE analyst, Dr. Constance Ikoku. Good morning, Constance.
Mr. Charles, good morning.
I like the sound of that.
I like that you like it. Good morning, Yolanda.
Good morning, Dr. Constance.
What's happening this weekend?
It's Friday. That's all I know.
Smiling.
Why are we always looking forward
to the weekend?
It's always nice to have the weekend.
True.
True. You can say that again.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. We're in it already. And Mr. Ben Sherman is here. He will be reviewing the papers with us. He is a former director of news at Voice of Nigeria. Hello there and welcome to the program. We'll begin with this day. In this day today, Enugu State leads with Governor Mbah inaugurating 5 ultra-modern transport terminals, 100 mass transit CNG buses. He's also targeting 20,000 jobs and will introduce 2,000 city taxis. The governor went on to explain that oil subsidy removal freed up resources, a statement the president has severally made in urging state governors to do more with the extra cash available to them. You know, there's a lot going on across the states, and when you look at that front page, Governor Peter Mbah is pictured with some traditional rulers in one of the newly commissioned CNG buses. Over 80 modern bus shelters across the states have also been launched. This is part of the government's integrated 5-terminal transport infrastructure project phase 1. In line with the vision to grow the state economy from $4.4 billion to $30 billion by a couple of years. While the provision of buses, bus terminals and shelters should be basic, nothing should be celebrated in a country that is more than 60 years old. Nevertheless, it reflects on many other states who are not even doing the basic. It's not hard to make an impact for a governor that is visionary, as we can see, Ben.
Absolutely. I was in Holy Ghost Terminal, that's the name of that place, and I saw what was to be commissioned, and it has been commissioned. And in terms of employment, you see banks there, you see eateries, you see shops, so it's a whole gamut of things that are positive. I think that, not just I think, Peter Mbah is making a statement via what people can see. This thing you call dividends of democracy is not about commissioning 20 boreholes that you now go and spend 300 million in some democracies or in some states. He's just delivering. I saw the security network, I saw the road networks, and the man is just fantastic, and he talks less. He wants to walk to just do the talking for himself. And that was why at the point, members of the Guild of Editors, we were there. We went around, we saw things, not that we were told. Because if you showed us any video, we want to go and see what really you've done. And asking people around, they said, this is fantastic. Security is even going down in terms of all these attacks. You could also see deployments of police here and there. It's not as if they are mounting some roadblocks, no. Technology is being used, they are monitored here and there, and we could see that virtually every local government had some cameras that you could see in a center, and at the point somebody jokingly said, look at those checkpoints, we're also checking them to see if they are collecting anything, and that even traffic lights, anybody beating traffic could also be traced. Vehicles entering Enugu for the first time will have to be registered automatically by the equipment here and there. So if they are stolen, of course they are put on the red alert. So by the time they resurface, they now alert the police. This vehicle that is wanted is now in so place. Kudos to Peter. Honestly, I think he's doing fine. Such a fine governor, fine job.
Yeah. Well, you know, there should be competition among states on who does best, on who performs better. Let's take a second story in this day newspaper. It's still cat and mouse game between Governor Bassani of Kaduna State and his predecessor, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. In this piece, the Kaduna State government does not mince words in calling El-Rufai a frustrated and sinking politician who wants to drag others along. the African Democratic Congress, which El-Rufai now associates with, and the Social Democratic Congress accused the state government of planning to rig the upcoming by-election during a press conference. The state government did not take this lightly, especially when the ADC vice chairman was accompanied by El-Rufai. Kaduna State Commissioner for Information has urged citizens to come out and vote and to disregard, quote, the rantings of a political jobber. Ben, you're from Kaduna State. What insight can you offer to us on this?
The insight is there's going to be an election for the House of Reps Honorable who died some months ago. And El-Rufai at the point just got one big flag of the opposition party, sat on a vehicle, and that was his own campaign tool. But again, he tried to derail, to deride the sitting government. And that was why Ahmed Mayaki, the Commissioner of Information, came out ho-ha as the spokesman for the governor. Said, look, this man is just a sinking man. We know his pedigree. We know what he did, how insecurity is prevalent when he was governor. And even when he went to do the press conference, there was a reminder. This same press conference, NUJ Secretariat, you invaded that place, drove away journalists. Why is it that today you've seen that the journalists are a friend? Also, it is still an attempt for, like the commissioner would want to say, a sinking man trying to hold on to a leaf in an ocean just to survive. Also, politically, whether El-Rufai survives that, there are too many odds against him. He has to also do quite a lot in terms of image, managing his image, either by himself or his political handlers. It's not easy. He's already a politically exposed person that has to find his niche somewhere to ensure that, yes, if he talks, people will believe him.
Right. In terms of peace, many would say that this El-Rufai's government is not comparable to the current government. They have finally managed to put a lid on that violence between ethnic groups in Kaduna State. It was very hostile in the last administration. Let's move on to New Telegraph. Hardship Okonjo-Iweala calls for social safety nets after meeting with Tinubu. 146 Nigerian women won Women's Exporters Fund. This meeting between the DG of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and President Bola Tinubu was on finding ways to cushion the effects of current hardships through social safety nets. There's also talk about a fund by the WTO for the digital economy. 67,000 Nigerian women applied and 146 won and will have money dispersed to them. It is interesting to see that meeting between Dr. Okonjo-Iweala and the president, who used to be on the opposite sides of the divide. She was the finance minister to former President Goodluck Jonathan when the APC, shepherded by Chief Bola Tinubu, sent that government packing. But to the main subject matter, social safety nets are significant in times like this. Now we're talking about the ones formerly provided and run by the government. Because when you look at the country, culturally, many Africans provide social safety nets for their family members, immediate and extended. So it's nothing new. But there's also the take of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala on the economy. It has ignited debate because she said the president has brought stability. But, the woman is always positive when it comes to Nigeria, Charles.
Well, come to think of it, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala has been around for a long time. She served under the Obasanjo administration, yes, served in the last administration, which gave her the springboard to also get the seat on the World Trade Organization. That visit with the president was significant, and well, she made that statement that he had stabilized the economy, talking about the reforms, and the numbers on paper appear to be good. But then, of course, there's the balance.
The numbers on the streets.
The numbers provided by the government, that is. However, and that's where the balance comes in, what is needed next is growth. We need to grow the economy, and we need to put in the social safety nets so that the people who are feeling the pinch of the reforms, those reforms, they are very beautiful numbers, but the people on the streets are feeling the pinch. So the social safety nets are very important, you know, to support the people to weather the hardship. So that's coming from a Dr. Okonjo-Iweala. So she didn't lose sight of the fact that there are reforms, all right, well, the economy is stable, but the people are not feeling the benefit. Right. Therefore, as a balance, put in those social safety nets so that the benefits of those reforms will also trickle down to the people and make them feel part of those reforms. You don't run government on paper or figures. It is the people themselves who have to benefit. So I like the fact that Dr. Okonjo-Iweala did not lose sight of that fact.
So there's always that struggle between a growth on paper and translating it to the lives of
benefits,
people.
Yes.
You know, during President Olusegun Obasanjo's period, Jonathan Yar'Adua, it was the same thing, although it was much better those times. But GDP growth only does not translate to improved standards of living. So, I mean, I don't know what they are doing, but
that's it.
That's a big issue.
For some of us, it doesn't make sense if you have the GDP growing and then the amount of food on my table is shrinking.
Although the growth is not even enough. You know, we have about, is it 2%, 3% barely? Now, the government says it's targeting 7%. You actually need 10%, but a far way to go. Let's look at Leadership newspaper. FG fast-tracked drive to clear 4 trillion naira power debt and subsidy as revenue shortfall faces tough budget choices. Removing subsidy will see average tariff for electricity rise from 66 naira per kilowatt to 209 naira per kilowatt. As of June 2025, the federal government electricity subsidy had reached 1.186 trillion naira. In a very constrained fiscal environment, this has to go, says the government. In other words, if we thought we were going through tough times, it might just get worse. Rising costs all run. We're seeing the effects of a brutally mismanaged economy, you know, over the years, especially under the APC government. Yolanda, it's a tough time, and I don't think it's getting better anytime soon.
And these are part of the social safety nets that I think we should be looking at, especially in the energy sector. This is where people are hit the hardest. It's really difficult to try and keep up with rising tariffs for electricity. And this is part of what Charles was actually saying before, that what might show and reflect on data should actually reflect in real life. On the surface of it, it's interesting. It looks good. It looks positive. Yes, let's do this. Let's work for a better Nigeria, but what are the implications on the everyday person, on the lives of people and their livelihood?
All right, Daily Independent this morning, PDP zoning plan will position it for electoral victory according to Damago. We also have that story featured in Daily Sun. Let's put that up, please. 2027 PDP plots smart zoning to displace APC. We know that power sharing will make Omar, our party says, acting national chairman. That's a fact, but that's not sufficient to pull the party through in 2027. Is it, Ben?
They still have to do a lot of homework. They have to do a lot, because if you check the way there is that infighting, they have to come out of that. And you could still see that Minister of FCT is warning, even when Atiku has left PDP, he said, don't give the ticket to PDP, as if it is still an Atiku matter. He has gone, he has gone. And so, for them to now say, look, it belongs to the South, you know, some people are saying that Sheyi Makinde is having some dreams. And if you check the convention that they will have in November, that is going to be hosted by the governor. So, in terms of zoning, it's an attempt to ensure that every region is taken care of, so that this mistake of 2023 is not repeated. And that's why the acting chairman, Damagum, is saying that it's sacrosanct. A committee has been set up. Let's look at who is injured, who is complaining against what, how could all of this could be resolved. And that's where they're talking about smart. You know, everything is smart now. You have an airport, you say it's smart. And so they want to come out very smart.
Smart homes too.
Exactly.
It does appear to me like this is medicine after death. They had that zoning agreement in place. It looked like, you know, an iron cast arrangement. By the time they held that convention back in, ahead of the 2023 elections, I don't know whether it was money that changed hands, and then all of a sudden they threw it overboard, and then up till now, the People's Democratic Party is still trying to recover from that singular incident. That is what actually damaged the People's Democratic Party.
Right.
Failing to respect the zoning agreement. Well, now they're talking about smart zoning.
Okay.
Let's see how that will work.
Let's move on to Vanguard newspaper. Very fascinating but frightening piece that relates to our health and lifestyle. How modern life is rendering men infertile. Sperm count dropped 62.3% worldwide over 50 years. Testosterone levels also dropping, plastics, environmental toxins waging war on male fertility. Everyone needs to read this piece. It narrates how today's fast-paced world is affecting us and changing the traditional notion of fatherhood and family. Experts say this goes beyond fertility, that a man with a low sperm count has a higher chance of becoming sick or dying young. It affects general health of a man. A heavy piece that reminds us that we need to take care of ourselves. The good thing is that it tells us factors responsible: stress. Men in high-pressure jobs should beware. It says sleep deprivation, sedentary habits, excessive exposure to smartphones and computer screens, sitting through endless virtual meetings. In fact, the things we call advancement is killing us slowly. Anyone can comment here very quickly.
The heading of that article is Spermageddon.
Yeah.
That's what I find really, really intriguing. But then, I mean, where we find ourselves now, what exactly can we do about it? I mean, necessity becomes the mother of invention. It is necessary to survive, particularly in this very highly competitive world. You blink and then you're hungry. So, well, I think we have to sacrifice one for the other. Fertility for survival.
Right. I think education, so it's saying beware, be aware of how modern lifestyle affects you, and take steps, to turn it around. Okay, it's difficult, especially when you're living in urban centers, but we have to do something about it. Let's see the Guardian newspaper headlines. Parties jostle for 16 seats as crucial by-election set stage for 2027. We also have here prison overcrowding, FG tasks public philanthropies on inmates decongestion. The Punch newspaper, pension funds strike countdown begins as PENCOM Labour disagree. They're asking the federal government to move back the money from pension funds that it intends to use. FG settles 2 trillion contractor bills, plans 2025 capital budget spending. Tambua fights back over 189 billion naira EFCC probe. Then Daily Independent. Here we have the PDP zoning plan will position us for electoral victory. We've seen that according to Damagun. We also have the labor story giving the government ultimatum to return diverted workers' funds. Airline operators, no fly lifetime ban, Emerson lifted. We've seen that. All right, let's see the international headlines. Daily Graphic, farewell our patriots. Daily Graphic here devoting the entire front page to the men who died in a helicopter crash last week, excruciating for the victims' families and for the government of Ghana. The Citizen newspaper, it's all about sports in the Citizen today. Rugby championship in South Africa ongoing. And at the top left corner, government in South Africa is like a mafia, writes Isaac Mashaba, a political analyst. The Sun newspaper, now boot him out, says this headline. A TikTok migrant who touted the British from his hotel room was reported to the police for telling men how to kill their estranged wives. Parwiz Hanifia, an Afghan, also told his 70,000 followers how to cover up their crimes in a video filmed in Germany before he paid smuggling gangs to get him across the channel to the United Kingdom. Yolanda, incidents such as this further paints the Labour government as inept when it comes to handling these illegal immigration asylum issues or cases. This man is living in a taxpayer-funded hotel, which has generated severe tensions in local communities where these hotels are located.
I think there's two major points to take away from this. First of all, the internet never forgets. So you have to be very careful with what you put out there. Second of all, this man is trying to get into the UK, and he has the, the audacity to go and do something like this.
He's already in the hotel.
Exactly.
In the UK,
yes.
trying to get the asylum.
And, it's even said that he even told 70,000 followers how to cover up their crimes and to buy a household item to use as a weapon. This will not go down easy. I'm sure this guy is going to face the full wrath of the law. So many people have been very upset about the migrants that are coming in and not wanting to leave,
illegal
the boats.
Ones.
Yes,
yeah.
Illegal ones. But even having said that, I'm sure that this guy is going to come under extreme fire for what he has done.
Definitely. The Times newspaper, Trump eyes economic incentives for Putin. All eyes on that much spoken about Alaska summit to end the war in Ukraine. We also have Washington Post this morning. Mbah, DC Attorney General, reject push by Bundy to name Emergency Police Commissioner Mayor Muriel Bowser, and the DC Attorney General Brian Schwab said the order by Attorney General Pam Bundy was unlawful and suggested they would not comply. We know that there has been that standoff between President Donald Trump and local officials in D.C. when he sent in the National Guard into Washington, D.C. The U.S. practices federalism, so they're telling him there is a demarcation of laws between the federal government and the state government, and they're not going to take that. All right, finally, we have iNewspaper. Students face yearly tuition fee hikes to bail out struggling universities. Fees could rise by £25,000 next year to £9,800 under plans being considered. There's no hiding place. Yolanda, again, now in the UK, all sectors are affected. And, we know that several universities will go bust without a boost to their income. This is expected to have a huge backlash, very, very briefly.
Very briefly, I think that all countries as well should take this very seriously, because that means if student fees are being hiked up, it means it's more expensive to go to school, whether it's abroad or locally for those who are in those countries. So I think this is a really huge wake-up call. And I think several weeks ago, we had a similar story where we were talking about enhancing the sectors in the individual countries so that there is less need to go and search for education in other places. But I think Nigeria is still a little far from that. With this higher education funding, let's see how it turns out.
Ben Sherman, who is a former director of news, Voice of Nigeria, appreciate you and have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Constance.
Thank you very much, Dr. Constance Ikoku. Have a very fantastic weekend too,
I will.
after anchoring today's newspaper review.
You bet. I will.
That's all we have time for here on Daybreak. I'm Charles Eruka. It's goodbye from me.
And I'm Yolanda Robert. Please do keep it here on Arise News. The morning show is next. Goodbye.